Hello, everybody. Once again, a short report from the annual convention of the Wisconsin Association of School Boards. This is Dr. Paul Hart from Capella University and a board governance consultant with the Wisconsin Association of School Boards. We heard an excellent presentation this morning from Daniel Pink, who has just come out with a new book called Drive, and it is a refreshing and refreshed look at work motivation. I'm very glad to see that Mr. Pink, who was a speechwriter in the White House for Al Gore back in the mid-1990s, gives due reference to some of the research that's been done on work motivation. And as he rightly claims in his book, the conclusions that he's reached are based on 40 years of research into the area of work motivation. And I think it's really important to tie this information about work motivation right back to school improvement, because there are a lot of theories and a lot of ideas out there about how to improve our schools. Many of them are focused on teacher performance. And so I think it's really important to take a look at the motivation of teachers as a basic idea for looking at school improvement. Now, Mr. Pink talks about three key elements that are flags, if you will, are real signs of motivational tasks that are going to get people who are doing more complex, more interesting, more creative, more unpredictable kinds of work that are going to get them really motivated. And isn't that really the job of teachers today, is to do these complex, hard to predict, non-routine kinds of work? What day today situation is the same in a classroom? So the three elements that Mr. Pink talks about are autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And these come right out of the work of Hackman and Oldham, who did some wonderful work back in the 1980s on job enrichment. And those ideas were applied to teams and to quality improvement companies and total quality management companies. The idea behind autonomy is that people who are doing these higher level tasks that need more creativity and are less routine, these folks like a high degree of self-directedness. And so if you really want to motivate someone who is doing this kind of work, one of the most important things that you can do is to give them a strong sense of self-direction, that they can sort of call their own shots. And Mr. Pink gave a great example of this with Google. At Google, as some of you might know, they talk about 20%, the 20% principle. The idea that they allow employees at Google to set aside 20% of their time to work on just about anything that they want to work on. Now, Google still owns the intellectual property rights to everything that's created during that 20%, but still, it's highly motivational for these really creative people at Google to be given 1 day in 5 to work on almost any project that they want to work on. And as Mr. Pink pointed out, one of the folks at Google very interestingly observed that all the really great ideas at Google came from the 20% time. Gmail, for instance, and some of the other really creative applications that are being created at Google. So autonomy is a very important motivational factor and should probably be looked at as far as teachers are concerned. How much autonomy are teachers being given? How much opportunity is being given for them to do things in a creative and self-directed kind of way? The second factor is mastery, and this is the idea that we're motivated by a sense of wanting to learn and grow and get better at whatever it is that we want to do. So once again, the idea here is that if we want to create a situation where people are highly motivated, these are people who are creative and are working on these high-level problem-solving type tasks, one of the most important things that we can do is create a situation in which they're given a chance to learn and grow and to gain more mastery. One of the most important things that a person in one of these kinds of high level, high cognitive, high problem solving, high creativity jobs can say is, I'm learning more, or I'm gaining more mastery, or I'm growing as a person. These are signs that this person is probably highly motivated. And then the final factor that Mr. Pink talks about is purpose, that we need to see a connection between what we're doing and some higher purpose. And once again, this all goes back to some of the work that Hackman and Oldham did, where they talked about employees being able to see a direct line of sight, if you will, that's my term, a direct line of sight from what the employee is doing to the end result, and doing some good and solving some problem and helping some customer. So once again, now as far as teachers are concerned, and really we don't need to say very much about that as far as teaching is concerned, but sometimes we do. Sometimes we create work environments for teachers and people in the education world where they start to lose their sense of purpose, where they start to burn out. I mean, this is standard stuff, right? And one of the big challenges that I'm hearing from some of my graduate students at Capella who are working on school improvement projects is this whole issue of teacher retention. So the idea is to keep that sense of purpose going for these teachers and to keep igniting that sense of purpose and higher calling for these teachers. So I would strongly recommend Mr. Pink's book. I have not read it myself, but of course the presentation that he did today was part of his promotional book tour and contained a lot of the information that's in the book. So based on what I heard today, I would strongly recommend that you get a copy of that book and read it, and then start thinking about how those ideas can all be applied to school improvement. I might also add, just as one final note here, that in our program at Capella University, when we talk about training and performance improvement in schools, we apply the ideas of Thomas Gilbert and his behavioral engineering model. And all these ideas about motivation really all go back to intrinsic motivation, and definitely one of the factors that Gilbert talked about in his motivation element. He talks about 6 key elements in his behavioral engineering model, and one of those 6 key elements is the motivation of the worker, and it's basically the intrinsic, the internal motivation of the worker. So hope this has been helpful to you. I'm having a great time. These are some great folks here. They're all doing wonderful work, and I will give you one more report, I hope, tomorrow, and then I'm returning to St. Paul at the end of the day. But let me know what you think about this conference. It's a great conference, and I'll look forward to seeing you one more time before I leave Milwaukee. Bye now.